Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and this morning I would like to talk to you about irrational exuberance. I saw this article about the asking whether crypto was the new .com bubble let's see where this was. This is Cointelegraph. This article was from yesterday, and I read through this, and I have talked to you guys many times about the comparison between the .com and crypto, and I still say there are many parallels, and you're going to see many of the same things happen, and you already are seeing many of the same things happening that happened during the .com bubble. I was right there, and I was one of those that was wanting to get the stock options and try to cash in on the .com. And remember, at the time, that was the only way that you could cash in on the .com bubble besides buying stocks in the stock market, which, yeah, you can make some money, but not the real money. The cryptocurrency, this offers us an opportunity to get in before everybody gets in, and that's part of the reason that it appealed to me in the beginning. But that's not what this is about. This article is about how the .com, it turned into a bubble, and everything you saw everywhere on television and everything else, Super Bowl commercials, it was .com this, .com that. Traditional companies added .com to their names just so that their stock prices could go up. And at some point in this article, it says that the overall .com market got up to 6 trillion at around 2000 when it peaked. I've read 6 trillion is low, I think, because I've read anywhere from 6 to 13 trillion. Usually it's in the 9 or so trillion is what that market got to, and that was in 2000, which is why I tell you all the time, for two reasons, this market is going to go to somewhere between 20 and 100 trillion, because in today's dollars, 9 trillion would be around 20 trillion. But I believe it's going to go much further than 20 trillion. And the reason is because that was the internet of information. This is the internet of value. This is the internet of money. And that's a big, big difference. The world is about to change. The monetary system and how money moves around the world is about to change, especially for Ripple. But anyway, in this article, he makes the point that the .com bubble matured at 6 trillion. I think it was more like 9. And he also mentions that the crypto market never has gone over, say, I think he said 500 billion, but I think it's more like 800 billion is where we were back in December. And that's kind of the point I've been making all along. We hadn't even begun to experience the kind of what this article is titled irrational exuberance. That term comes from the Fed chairman, Alan Greenspan. Around the height of the .com bubble, he was at some point interviewed, and he said that what we were seeing in the markets was an irrational exuberance. In other words, people were paying way too much money for .com companies that were not worth anything. And so, and he was correct that there was irrational exuberance. But what I'm saying is that in crypto, you will also have irrational exuberance, but you will also have rational exuberance, because out of the .com, just because there was irrational exuberance, it was not all irrational exuberance. There were winners that came out of there, but I wanted to make a couple of more points about this and show you some examples so we can really get down to the nitty gritty of what we're talking about here. I wanted to give this guy credit on Twitter. I saw this it's Kevin Rook at KEROOKE, and he posted this. I saw this yesterday, and it says, a lesson from the .com era for all crypto believers. It turned out the dumb thing wasn't to invest in the scam. The dumb thing was to give up on the internet because there were some stupid people in it. In other words, in any new, and this guy, you should go and watch this video. It's a very short video, but in any new technological boom like we're about to experience, you're going to have frauds. You're going to have companies that are nothing but hype. You're going to have the good and the bad. And our job is to go find the good and not do what many people are doing in the media right now, which is so irresponsible. They're saying, oh, well, that's a Ponzi scheme. I have people email me, and I won't name any names, but I had someone email me the other day, and just about every time somebody emails me and says they talk to their financial advisor about crypto, they're always told, ooh, stay away from it. That's scary. That's a Ponzi scheme. That's this. Well, the truth of the matter is, just like with any new technology, and the point this guy's making is that the smart play was not to say, oh, well, the internet, that's just stupid. That's stupid. Some people do scams. Now we have ICOs. And what this guy was saying is, just because in anything there's going to be scams, but that doesn't mean that there's not gold in those hills. You've got to find the gold. And with Ripple XRP, we've found the gold. But it doesn't, just because there's some bad players in the internet or some companies that are not worth even talking about, does not mean that that the internet itself was not a disruptive technology. In fact, he was at Disrupt. So, but anyway, that's the point he was making. But let's go a little further and show you this is the one that always sticks out to me. And this is, I'm about to show you something that might hit very close to home for you in what we're currently in the crypto space. Pets.com Pets.com was really the poster child of .com failures back in the day, and I've mentioned it before. But what was so ridiculous about it, and it wasn't just Pets.com. It would be like if I decided that I was going to start a clothing line, and just because .com was a big deal, I was going to start clothing, digital asset investor clothing.com, and therefore I'm in the clothing business overnight. And then I go out and venture capital firms give me millions and millions of dollars, and then we go public and we do all of this within a year or two. That's what Pets.com was. And then they started. They came out with this silly mascot, this thing here, a puppet, and the puppet goes and starts doing Super Bowl commercials for a company that really didn't even exist probably for more than a year or two, and it was just like throwing millions of dollars just at an idea just because it had .com on the end of it and had a short .com name. And it became the joke of the internet in the end. And so, but I wanted to show you this because out of the .com, there were winners and losers, and there are a lot of parallels with what's going on today. This one might hit some of you the right or the wrong way, but look at this. Look real closely at this, and ask yourself, because I'm about to show you some things that Ripple has in the works, and many of you might be making some of the same mistakes that some Pets.com investors did when you really take a step back and look at what you're doing and look at where you're putting your money and what's really built around where you're putting your money. And because you can learn a lot from the .com. There were also successful companies that came out of the .com. The most memorable, of course, that we all probably use every day is Amazon. This is what I believe Ripple is. When the history books are written, I believe Ripple and about 10 or 15 of the other digital assets will be the Amazons that came out of all of this. But so against that backdrop, I was sent an email from a guy, and I'm going to give him credit before I show you some of the things that Ripple has going on. And I want you to really sit back and think on your Sunday. if you're invested in digital assets, ask yourself, am I in Amazon.com or am I in Pets.com? Because the evidence is all right out there in front of you. Ask yourself, if you're in something other than XRP, and if you have not truly looked at XRP honestly, I mean, this is a company that's been at this for 5 years, building an infrastructure. It's almost like they have put in motion the troops, and they're putting the troops on battlefields all across the world to conquer the entire world, while some of these digital assets are a joke and have nothing going on behind them. You should ask yourself, what really is behind the digital asset that I own? Is there anything going on behind this digital asset, or is it just a digital asset with a catchy name? Because there will be irrational exuberance in this market. There already is, and Brad Garlinghouse has said it in 99% of this. There will be a lot of irrational exuberance. But what I'm telling you here today is that there will be rational exuberance around Ripple and XRP like none other. And it's coming sooner rather than later. So anyway, this guy emailed me, and his name is Brian Palmer, and he is at Dreams and Code on Twitter. And he emailed me and told me that I needed to show you guys some of the positions that they are hiring for at Ripple, so that people could really see some of the things that Ripple has going on behind the scenes. And so I decided I would show you that. So go and apparently Brian is a Ripple guy. I went through his feed a little bit here, and it looks like he's one of us. So go follow at Dreams and Code. I get a lot of emails now as an aside here, and so I can't get to all of them, but I do try to read most emails. So if you ever want to email me, it's digitalassetinvestor2018 at gmail.com, or you can message me on Twitter. That's just as easy. Okay, so let's look at what Brian found. The first one was senior director. These are all positions that Ripple is hiring. They're hiring these positions at Ripple right now. Senior, and many of you may want to, if you're qualified, you may want to go to ripple.com, and it's over here on the About Careers, and you can see what positions they have available. Senior director. I'll give you an aside here. It's kind of funny. I had somebody tell me that I needed to apply for to be in business development at Ripple. I thought that was funny. There's one thing, and I wanted to give you, some of you young people out there, some advice. Maybe it's not advice. Maybe it's just my take on the world. And maybe it's in my 40s now. This is the way I think about things. When I was young, I was like, yes, I want to go out and I want to get a job with a good company, and I want to get this and this. But as I'm older, what I'm more interested in my life is having freedom. And freedom for me means working for myself, doing what I want to do when I want to do it, being able to take my sons to go hit baseballs when I want to do it, and be able to pick them up from school and take them to school and have a life that allows me that freedom. When I want to go jogging, I go jogging. And that's kind of how I've designed my life. And so the idea at 44 of going and working for someone, even if it was Ripple, does not appeal to me. and maybe it should appeal to me, but that's not really in line with my goal. My goal is very simple. I want to be able to provide a cash flow without working for anybody, and I want to become wealthy off of XRP. And I think I will do both of those things in the next couple of years. So back to this. So they're hiring a senior director of XRP markets, infrastructure, and liquidity. And in each of these, they go and they tell you what you'll do. This person will own Ripple's strategy for creating enterprise grade infrastructure for XRP. Basically, this position is going to be expanding XRP's liquidity. That's what they're talking about. And so That would mean getting XRP on new exchanges. It would mean getting with these exchanges to make XRP trading pairs with the fiat currency of those areas, and that type of thing. And so anyway, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, go look at it. The next thing, country manager Brazil. Now these last two that he sent to me, these last two just show you how Ripple is expanding aggressively into these other countries. This one is going into Brazil, and Ripple is sharpening its focus on the dynamic payments landscape in Brazil. We are looking for our first set of feet on the ground in Sao Paulo to launch and operationalize our brand new Sao Paulo office. And so they're going into Brazil, and then if you look at the next one, they're going into China. This one's bigger than any of them, but you remember how I've told you about SBI. They mentioned it here, SBI Ripple Asia. This head of China operations is going to work directly with the CEO of SBI Ripple Asia, which owns 10.5% of Ripple. They're going to be working hand in hand to expand into China. So while you're hearing about how China has banned cryptocurrencies and all this, meanwhile, the people who are really the movers and the shakers and that really know what's going on are going into China, and they're working their way into that market. And that is Ripple, who is connected better than any digital asset in the world. The people at Ripple are more connected, period. Okay. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you is that YRX, I've been telling you guys about the payment card that you can get in the description of my videos. YRX has expanded into Canada. And so those of you in Canada, you can now go, if you've gone through the link in my description of my videos, you can now go and order your YRX cards. If you're in Canada soon, hopefully the US, it'll be open for US people too. Also, you go, and if you haven't gotten your Ledger Nano S to protect your digital assets the safest way, I spent yesterday setting up a Ledger Nano S, and they've really, I mean, they're adding a lot of features to their software, and they're really adding. I think before long, what you're going to be able to do with your Ledger is you won't even have to transfer your assets from your Ledger in order to trade them. I think you're going to be able to trade directly from your physical Ledger Nano S. And so this space is moving so fast, it's really cool. So go in the description of all of my videos. You can get the Ledger and you can get the YRX payment card. Well, I'm the digital asset investor. I am not an investment advisor. Many of you asked me for a longer videos this weekend, and so I gave you one. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button, and I really appreciate you all listening. I'm trying to put out more and more content. So thank you so much. Y'all have a good week.